Witnesses, I have a couple of questions. Let me start with the first one. What is the status of Mano now? My understanding is that Mano is operating. If that is correct, if that information is correct, under what concession agreement is Mano operating? Is it the one before us now for ratification, or there's another one? There's a predecessor agreement? Because that boils down to the issue raised by one of my colleagues about what constitutes a government. Now, that is not to question the authority of the executive, because by law, it is the executive that is empowered to negotiate agreements on behalf of the government of Liberia. There's no question about it. The question then would be, after the negotiation by the executive, was that agreement, or this particular agreement for that matter, submitted to the legislature for ratification? Has it been done? It has not been done. I know it's only now that you are doing that. And we are hearing that Mano, our information is that Mano is operating. I want you to speak to that. Under what color of right or legality is Mano operating? The other question I have, there are a lot of cries all over the place from our people. You know, we are representatives of the people. And we are hearing that there are contractors, there are suppliers that did business with Sam Darby, and that were not factored, though their goods claims were not factored into the concession agreement. Now, they are saying that there's no mechanism put in place to offset or to liquidate the liabilities owed them by Sam Darby. And you know, rightly so, that Mano took over the assets and liabilities of Sam Darby. And there's some phrase in the accounting called contingent liability that lawyers use most often to draft any agreement. Now, contingent liability will be those foreseeable, sometimes unforeseeable claims that will come about during the execution of the agreement at some point in time. So provision has to be made for that in the agreement. Is there any contingent liability provision in this agreement? My third and last question comes to the issue of the outgrower program. You know, I'm from a county where we have, shall I say, the largest palm plantation in the country. And since GBF been in this country from 2008, we have been hearing about the outgrower program, but it has never materialized. Our people have been looking forward to that. Our people organize themselves into cooperatives, doing all sorts of things, waiting for GBF to give them the go-ahead to start the outgrower program. It has never happened. You know, these things border on the interests of our people, on the empowerment of our people. So when you are negotiating the agreements, you make sure that you put in place templates or mechanisms to enforce some of these provisions. This should be there. You should give timeline. Look, we have after 10 years, you will be able to execute the outgrower program so that the community, the locals, are benefited by this, like the Minister of Trade for Liberalization and like the NRC representatives said. That's very critical. Very critical to be a very critical part of the essential of the farm, or let's say agri sector, for that matter. For any concession that emanates from the agri sector. So that's very important. So I want us to look at that critically, especially beginning with this one. Sam Darby, not Sam Darby, but GBL will ask you, my minister, to please work on that. GBL, Minister of Agriculture, NIC, and of course you ensure that you ensure compliance. You ensure that whatever is written in an agreement, concession agreement for that matter, is implemented to the letter. So you have to make sure that these things are done. Not to come to us here and give excuses that this has happened. No, you should be telling why it's not done. Not coming to us to complain about the concession is not complying, not doing this, not doing that. What actions have you taken as NBC? Because it's your responsibility. After NRC and the rest of the executive negotiate the concessions, enable you now to ensure that what is written in those agreements are executed. And we don't see that coming. We don't see you doing that. And you're coming to us to complain. We're not going to do your work. We're not executive. Our functions are different. There's a serious dichotomy between what you do in the executive and what we do here. The Constitution draws a line, and it's clear. We're not going to do your work. Our oversight requires that you will hold you responsible and that you should do your work in the interest of our people. And we don't see you doing that. These things here should benefit our people. We should not come here to complain, to make noise, but to ensure that when an agreement is written, that agreement is executed to the letter, that our people get value for their land and for whatever resources they are giving out to concession. Thank you.
Okay.
Flora, would you?
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I think the minister of.
Thank you very much, Senator. I think one of the things that I did not see is that since becoming minister, this is the first concession agreement that I have been a part of. A lot of these concession agreements were negotiated more than a decade ago. And when you know better, you do better. And that was what we have been trying to do with this particular one, which is the first one. And maybe we did not follow all of the different things, but because there were inherent flaws in it. As I said, I'm not sure if you were here at the time when I made my overview. The outgrower program was pretty much left to the companies or the concessions to develop with the communities. And we have since learned that that model is insufficient for everybody, not for the concession, not for the government, and certainly not for the communities. And so we would like to play a more active role in shepherding an outgrower program. But I can't stand before you here today, or sit before you here today and say that we already have the model that can work in every circumstance. It had what pertains, what they have tried different things. Although you say in your county, GBL has not tried, they have tried different approaches to the outgrower scheme. But all of their approaches have not satisfied everybody, and they've gotten to the point where it's expensive for them and causing losses, and so they want to withdraw from that. But we can't let them withdraw from that because the communities are our priority as government. So for the outgrower scheme, we will be working on models, and we will try to work more closely with the concessions and with the NBC, because the NBC, some of these are technical issues. The NBC can monitor certain aspects, but the agricultural aspects of the outgrower scheme, every time it's been mentioned here by all of my colleagues and my members of this august body, we talk about the land. The outgrower scheme is more than just the land. It's what they do with the land and how they are supported to make that land profitable for the communities. And that's where I believe that we should play a more active role in this. It's not necessarily required in the other concession agreements, but we're trying to make it more of a requirement now, and we're trying to play that role. Our resources are limited, but we will do the very best we can. And we would appreciate suggestions from anybody, whichever branch of government you come from, or as a citizen of Liberia. if you've seen a model or you would like to see a model implemented, we would really like to work with you, with anybody who is willing to develop something that works for us. Because it's not in our interest to drive away the concessions, nor is it in our interest to deprive the communities of what they could be getting if we were exercising our full capacities. So please, honorable senators, I really want to, I asked Senator Matakwa if I could be excused a little bit earlier, but please, I want to say something. A lot of the flaws in the San-Dabe agreement, and even in the transfer of the San-Dabe agreement, are more flaws of omission rather than commission. I'll say all. And the agreements were signed, I would say in good faith, more than a decade ago by another administration, by many other predecessors of all of us here. What was pertaining in the world at that time is different from now. Our SPO was not featuring Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil. That is one global group that has really, left with them, Liberia will not do palm oil at all. We will have no oil palm industry. And so we have to see how we can tackle some of those global forces. They are much better resource than our entire government. And they target some of these concessions. So they target it from outside, we target it from inside, the communities target it from inside. It makes it very difficult, and we really want to develop our sector. So I just plead, if you can please moderate maybe some of our expectations of what should have pertained, and let's try to do better with this one. Thank you.
Mr. Chair. The minister is a bit unclear, but as we want to develop the sectors, as we want to also be able to ask politicians to properly communicate with our people, we must have full understanding of what is happening today and what happened yesterday. Our yesterday for us under this agreement is what we want to understand, so that we can properly communicate with the community. I don't know what I'm taking away from the conversation here with our yesterday, specifically Bakuru. What am I going to tell the people? We had 159,000 hectares committed to this San-Dabe agreement. It's gone to Mano. We are no longer part of the Mano concession area, meaning that that concession will never go to Bakuru for now. What do we have? What are we taking? I want to hear that. Mr. Concession,
yes, so please. I just wanted to address. No MBC, NIC.
Yeah, NIC.
I just wanted to address some of the other issues that were raised. I think some of them are legal issues, and the minister, the Deputy Minister of Justice, may address herself to them. The first consideration is that under the SPA, Sim-Dabi is still a company in Liberia. Because, like I said, the way the consideration for the transfer is structured, is on future earnings, on yield, and the price. So No. I'm saying the way that Mano will liquidate that consideration under the SPA comes from future yield from the concession. And one of the key issues is that you speak of secured creditors. The senator spoke of secured creditors. What we're saying, the obligations for which government receive a lump sum payment is for liabilities to the government. Liabilities to the government. Payments to the government. The company is still here. If there are secured creditors, there are still recourse because the company still exists. It's not dissolved. They are here and they are collecting the future earnings based on the yield of the existing, the going concern of the company. So that will not be clear. Other issues.
So we're saying that should form part of the current agreement, so that Mano would be obligated.
No, I'm saying Sim-Dabi. Simdabi as a company is still, Simdabi Liberia is still in Liberia. They just not the owners of the asset.
So you speaking to the issue of the contingent liability?
Yeah, the issue of secure creditors and some of the vendors that you spoke about. So they could still get recourse
So
because.
how do they get to Sandabi?
How do they get to Simdabi?
Yeah.
But like I said, Simdabi still exists.
That's why, Mr. Chairman, that's why I said earlier, to proceed with this discussions, we need a SPA.
Yeah,
The
we need
agreement between Mano and Sandabi, we need it before us, we need to read it before.
Right.
And we'll make
Because hearing the NIC is still saying Sandabi still exists.
Yeah.
So
But that's
we
the
need to
second
see
issue that I wanted to address myself to Senator. The second issue is that the government was really concerned about job losses, associated opportunities, procurement-related opportunities. It seemed that we afforded and left the country because they were really threatening. They were running a project that was just not profitable for them. They were a very large multinational company. And because of some of the challenges that we spoke about, they just couldn't expand. The operational costs were so high. So they had to, taking that into consideration, they needed to transfer to a smaller outfit that could manage a smaller project. So you mentioned about this what color right. I think the government took all of that into consideration. When I say the government, the side that was responsible to approve the transfer, took all of that into consideration for a continuous operation of Simdabi. The minister mentioned how many jobs? Indirect and direct jobs. 1,600 jobs, for which they are paying withholding taxes. These are households. One employee has maybe 5 dependents at least. It was going to be a major disruption for the country. And so those were some of the considerations that were critical to the decision making. We needed going concern of Simdabi, even with the exit. So the issue of, I cannot speak to whether or not they have, or Mano currently has 100% control of Simdabi. They might be in a transfer phase, I stand corrected, but I don't believe because the company just folded and left. No, I don't believe so. I think it has been a process. And even in the SPA, which you will see, Simdabi are very critical to the successor. They said, you must reserve forest land, you must live up to conservation principles under WTO, you must protect the jobs, all of that you will see. They listed more than 20 different considerations that a company must uphold while they were exiting. So I think they were also concerned about sustainability.
So is Mano operating now as Simdabi?
But they were not concerned about the debt being paid.
Is that what you're saying?
Senator, excuse me, please. Senator, I'm here, so stay up. So which one?
The issue that has to do, they were concerned with the job, they were concerned about this. But I wanted to be concerned about the debt being paid, owned by Simdabi to Kidmont. So please address that. That's not how
We will share the SPA. We'll share the SPA. I think it's a document that the senators need as well. Yeah, and then maybe the conversation can take place from there.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
I think he will be the last speaker now.
Yeah. Discussion. No, I just want to. Yeah, no, I just want to find out something. If you have that answer, I'll take it. Mr. Chairman, is this the last year you have with me?
Of course not.
Okay, thank you. NRC and Ministry of Finance. Why should we give Mano tax break from this concession if it is ratified? Why should we give Mano tax break?
Senator,
Yeah.
just as you said, maybe one who late normally doesn't raise his song. His investment incentive has not been discussed. It's only the restated and amended agreement that we are discussing.
So we're not giving a tax break.
No, that's not
Is that part of the year? Before we ratify the document,
Yeah.
also we do not statement.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You take coming.
I was here before you saw. No. Once we're having a subsequent hearing, I just want to know why we're getting started.
Okay, I think all senators have exhausted their concern. Our witnesses, I think you've listened to the concern that the senators raised. Major among which are the benefits to the communities. Whether the payment of the 2 million completely exempt Sam Davin from obligated to the community for the period they've existed, they've operated. That is a major concern. We need to get clarity on it. The legality of because you just indicated, Mr. Chairman, that Sam Davin indirectly is still here. So if they are still here, in fact, we have not ratified this now, so the period from 2020 up to present, because no agreement between government and Mano is Sam Davin. So who do we ask? Is it Mano or Sam Davin for the period 2020 to the time of the ratification for the community benefits, which is $5 hectare? Who's supposed to pay? That has to be clear.
I would think that from the date of the signature of the SPA, going forward, it's Mano that assume any liabilities associated with receiving that.
The second thing, the third is very important is that all of you have indicated that the constitution of the committee that's supposed to serve as a management team for the community health fees was never constituted. The government did not constitute it, and the community cannot nominate any people if they are not giving the guidance as to how the people are supposed to be nominated. So the government relied on the responsibility of ensuring the interest of the community. How do we manage that immediately? Because the people land is being used with no benefit. Yes.
The committee's reference, a committee's under this amended and restated agreement.
Yes.
So until Justice says it's also in the original one. I don't believe those
You refuse to pay off, that's all.
One of the chairman is saying, don't forget your.
So we'll come over and answer, we'll have the money to pay, that's not concerned.
Go and look at the GBL model. Replicate it. Replicate the GBL model. The model you have now is unacceptable. When the government will take the real money, then the government will pay them. They don't know. The company will put the money in escrow. When the community says they're committed, they will transfer it for the account of the committee. Go and look at the GBL model.
No, Senator, it's different. It recommends a 10-member committee, 50% recommended by the company. Or if you say 10 persons,
Go and look at the GBL model. Then you come in, we can talk about it.
Up is community development, Senator. Yeah.
Because they have their major issue about our police.
19.7, section 19.7, community development contribution. The money does not go to corruption.
Yeah.
The 5% per each hectare of land within a developed area, which we say is 10,500 now, will be around $20,000. It's a special account that is open and under the control and management of a 10-member committee. It's not a government.
So you, the government, are supposed to set the pace to how that committee is supposed to do that.
So it has to be ratified first.
No, I'm talking about it did not happen during Sam Davin's time.
It did not happen. Senator, you are correct.
Yes.
That is what we are trying to correct now.
Please, so do it at once.
And we have point of senators here.
Originally, taking ownership at the same time.
GPL has a good model.
Yeah.
And I heard senator say that GPL does not have.
Mr. Chairman.
It's the community.
Mr. Chairman, I think
they have not implemented.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They have not implemented.
Yeah.
Our instructions
Mano is another thing.
Yeah.
Implemented is
must
another
be
thing.
clear what we need in order to proceed. Number one, as we stated, we need a SPA
Yeah.
between Sam Darby and Mano.
One,
We need the plan.
clarity to the constitution of the committee.
Yeah, no. We want a plan. The committee don't want is in a new agreement, but a plan of payment to the affected communities.
Yeah,
the old agreement.
It will be in the committee composition.
So what?
It will be in the committee composition.
No.
And the borrow is
The community composition under the new agreement, you're right, we need to know it. But there are obligations.
No obligation will be placed on the committee still.
Yeah. But we want a plan. How they intend to pay. They said they have 2 million. They have a 2 million. We asked them for how that 2 million was derived. We want to see how it's itemized. If the communities are in that 2 million, fine. But we want to see how the communities, because they are cardinal for us. The communities can be crying on an old agreement, and then we come here and ratify a new agreement. Under no circumstances will that happen. It will not happen.
Somebody has to go to work, so we're not going to hold it down for one item.
Mr. Chair,
We're not going to hold the committee down for one item.
Mr. Chair,
One item and what, Jimmy? Where's that gentleman?
I said,
I beg you, please, when we come back, when we reply to our committee room. When we reply to our committee room, I beg you. Yeah, when we reply to our committee room. Okay, distinguished colleagues, excuse me, please, order, please, distinguished colleagues. Now that we've all exhausted our concern, we want to thank the witnesses, Mr. Chairman of NIC, Madam Minister, honor a very tight constraint of illness. Just because of the respect of this committee, you are here, Madam Deputy Minister from Finance, and the Assistant Minister, Madam Minister from Justice, the National Bureau of Concession, Director General, and your Director for and on behalf of the Senate. We want to thank you for this healthy engagement. Please, that's what we have to do to understand. I hope you don't feel, because don't be frightened. Next time we'll call you and say, me, I'm not going there the way the people can talk to us. I beg you, that's our normal exercise. We will continue to engage you. To conclude, Mr. Chairman, we want you to send the document we talked about. We want you to please clearly engage the minister and clear out the constitution of the committee. Because the communities are saying they have not nominated because you haven't given them the leeway, you haven't given them the clarity. So you do that, and then please do those things that you're supposed to do so that all of us can get this thing behind us. Thank you for coming. Yes, please.